Joe Frederick with the Long Snapping Lifestyle here. Recently, I got the opportunity to sit down with Jackson Subbert. For those of you who don't know Subbert, he started 2 years with the Hawkeyes. He was a semifinalist for the Pat Manley Award, and he is looking for the opportunity to continue his playing career at the next level. We got to discuss his journey to Iowa, his career at Iowa, and some of the ways that he's trained to get himself ready for that next opportunity. I hope you enjoy our conversation and make sure to give us a follow on Twitter and Instagram.
Yeah, so I'm from Williamsburg, Iowa, just not too far away. My family had been Iowa fans all my life, came to games when I was young and everything, so really it was a dream come true when I got the opportunity to come here. There really wasn't much of a decision for me, like there were some other places, but when Iowa showed a little interest, I knew this was where I wanted to be.
When did you know that long snapping was going to be your thing, that you wanted to focus on it for college?
Kind of like what we were talking about, like just being a long snapper was really not something that I really wanted to do, which I'm glad that it happened. I mean, it's been awesome, but like my dream was always like I'm going to be a tight end somewhere. As I was like a freshman and sophomore, I had been a long snapper since like junior high, which my dad told me that position that not a whole lot of people practice, but every team needs. So He would just have me do it since I was little, just a little bit here and there. He definitely knew the importance of a long snapper. And then it came down like 7th grade, we needed a long snapper, and I was like basically the only one that could do it. So really that I just kind of started there. I did some camps, I think after my sophomore season, that's going and competing against other dudes that were taking it pretty seriously. And I felt like I fit in with them, like I wasn't, worlds away. Like I'm like, hey, you know what, I can kind of like hang with these guys. So that was kind of like an eye-opening thing that like, you know what, this could be something I might have a chance of doing at the next level.
Was there any particular coaches who really pushed you in that high school, sophomore up kind of range that really helped you get you to Iowa?
A lot of that was, again, my dad. Coaching staff at Williamsburg, I think helped me. They did anybody they knew around, whether that be at Iowa or other smaller colleges that they had connections with, really helped me get my name out there. And like if they were looking for a long snapper, they were always saying like, hey, we have this dude, come talk to him. So I really have them to thank, just as a whole body. But yeah, I came in, walked on, knew it was going to be a little bit of a journey. Tyler Kluver was here before me, who had kind of established himself a little bit already. So I knew I was likely going to be sitting for 3 years. So it was going to be. It ended up being great because looking back, I was definitely not ready to play in a game. I learned a lot from Tyler Kluver. Great experience to kind of sit behind him. Then I was able to start my junior and senior year after redshirting, and really enjoyed it. And yeah, wouldn't change it for anything, for sure.
Nice. Yeah, there's definitely a tradition here around Iowa as far as long snapping goes. There's been some greats. What's that been like? Have you worked with any of the guys that have gone into the pros?
I haven't worked with them a ton, but they're always full of information and always willing to help. Like I said, Tyler Kluver, I was here with, and then once he left, I talked to him a little bit before, like maybe my junior year, before my first start and stuff, kind of what to expect with the guy, like being the guy moving forward. I've also, like the other day, Casey Kreider is here working out a little bit. Nothing crazy, but just kind of like asking him what his pro day looked like. If I need to reach out or anything, get some info from them. They've been great through the whole process.
Yeah, it's good to have that information.
Yeah.
For sure, it's a good resource. Yeah, there's so many long snapping resources here at Iowa. It's a cool fraternity to be a part of.
No, it is really nice.
So you guys have a lot of banners up there. I noticed that you put up a few yourself, that 2019, 2017, both those bowl games. Is there any certain game that's kind of stuck out to you? Maybe it was a bowl game, maybe it was just a regular season game that you're really proud of?
Our last one against USC was awesome, just as being the last game and going out like that against a team that's, they're USC. That's a pretty big name. So being able to beat them was awesome. And then last year, beating Mississippi State was absolutely incredible. Seeing the different NFL just talent that they had on both sides of the ball was, I mean, impressive to say the least.
Yeah.
And then going out there and getting a win. I would say both of those two, and the fact that one ended the season and then the next ended my career. Both of those kind of stand out for sure.
Yeah. I had read an article that you threw a touchdown pass. Is that accurate?
It's not accurate, unfortunately, because it was like a sideways snap to T.J. Hawkinson.
Yeah.
Not this last year, but the year before. But unfortunately, it's not a pass, so it just goes into basically just as a direct snap. But I really had little to nothing to do with that. I mean, they had great dudes blocking, and then TJ obviously is in the NFL now, so you give him the ball anywhere and he'll make you look good. So literally, it was just don't mess it up, and then they'll take care of it.
Gotcha.
So it was definitely more those guys than me for sure.
Hey, we can count it. We'll count it.
Yeah, unofficial.
Yeah, absolutely. LeVar Woods, is he?
Yeah.
Is he one of your coaches, special teams guy?
Yep, he's the special teams coordinator now these days. Yep.
So what's it like to have somebody who's been in your same position, done sort of the same things on the coaching staff?
Yeah, it's awesome. It's just having somebody being able to watch you and correct you and really just show attention to you, to see what needs to be changed, what can be improved, what can be added, what can be subtracted is always a benefit. He has been, I think, a real difference maker. When I came, we would just go out and snap however many balls, and now we kind of are, and kick and punt the same thing. We're kind of on a little bit of a pitch count now, just for longevity. Obviously the season is a long time. And you can't go the first day of camp and kick, snap, or punt 120 balls and be worthless the rest of the week or whatever, something like that. So that's just one example of something that he's brought to the specialist.
Were you kind of let's snap as many as I can kind of guy before you started limiting yourself? Or how do you like to train?
I definitely used to snap a lot more. Again, it kind of goes back with Tyler Kluver. He was one guy that probably snapped as few balls as I've been around, I guess. He would, do a handful, and he was a confident guy. All right, I'm loose, ready to go, do a couple, and I'm good. At that point, I was younger. I felt like I just needed to keep snapping. I need to improve. But I think it's something that kind of comes with time, that the mentality of I don't need to snap 100 times today, 12 good snaps and take your time and really focus on them. It's quality over quantity. That's a big phrase in the specialist room, that we're not out there to just, again, kick, snap, or punt a ton of balls. We're trying to make it as game-like as possible. So if that's just a handful of balls that you feel like you need, but they're going to be great reps with 100% focus, then those 12 reps are going to be way more beneficial than 100 with you just closing your eyes and hoping it goes somewhere.
Yeah, I think that's something, especially as young long snappers.
Yeah.
When I came in, I wanted to. You get that kind of Kobe mentality. You just want to put up 100 shots, and you want to be able to get all that work in, but sometimes you have to think about it's a fine line between quality and quantity.
For sure.
Talking about different people who have kind of motivated you here at Iowa, other than Kluver, other long snappers, is there anybody who, when you were kind of young, up and coming, really taught you a lot, whether it be snapping or just Iowa football?
Yeah, definitely. We have, again, a great tradition, I guess, with a lot of different great leaders and stuff on this team. When I came in, Marshall Kane was a senior who was a great kicker. He had kind of had a good season, got a chance in the NFL and everything. Went to the combine. So he was definitely an established good leader. So he kind of showed what was expected, I guess, from a young age, what we needed to do as a special teams unit and as specialists, as individuals. He was a good athlete, so like it showed that like, you know, we're not just here to snap, kick, and punt, that like we have to go out and perform in strength and conditioning as well. He was another one, and there's just been a lot of different guys that as a whole that are really good at taking young guys and kind of taking them under their wing and making sure that when they're gone, these young guys will be able to take over like leadership positions. So I think that's something that Iowa really does well.
Yeah. You talked about that strength and conditioning quite a bit. I know Doyle's kind of a well-known name. He's one of the best to do it. Do you find, I think that at UNI we kind of had a tradition of that's where the specialists really make a name for themselves. It's where they, you know, in practice you don't get a lot of reps, you're sitting on the sideline or whatever, but in the weight room is where you really prove you're part of the team. Have you found, do you guys have a certain culture expectation for your specialists as a whole?
It definitely is. You can't just, you know, just get by in the weight room and then expect everybody to kind of like be on your bandwagon when you go out to the practice field. That is somewhere that, especially as a young guy, you kind of have to prove yourself almost that you are here to work hard and you are here to get better, not only at your position, but as an athlete too. So that is definitely a big part of getting on the field, is kind of showing the coaches and your teammates that you're here to work.
Right. I think that's something that a lot of young specialists can learn from, and I'm sure you'll find that at a lot of different places, but yeah, at Iowa, at UNI, that seems to be a big thing, is earning your stripes in the weight room.
For sure.
I noticed Kluber down there, he's got a little record.
Yeah.
Do you ever think about that? You push yourself to break that, kind of take his name down, or?
Actually, unfortunately, Kluber, he was pretty prideful with that record, but a kicker, Caleb Shudak, actually just broke it for the pro agility. So I think unfortunately the name is going to be coming down, but it's not my name going up. But again, like, those records are awesome. It's just something to strive for. Like, you can be pushing yourself to, like, all right, maybe that's a personal best, but now you can look at the board and see, all right, this dude 20 years ago ran this or benched this. Like, you're just always competing with somebody that might not even be here anymore, but just to push yourself that much more.
Yeah, chasing that ghost, seeing those numbers, absolutely. What has your training looked like this past 3-4 months compared to a regular off season?
There's definitely some differences, but still a lot of similarities. Obviously, you know, on pro day, they're going to test you for, you know, your 40, your pro agility, your broad, like, you know, all of these pro day tests. So, like, that's obviously the main focus. So there's more emphasis on that, obviously, but still you're just, at least for us, you're just training and to be kind of, I guess that's the best athlete you can be.
We talked a little bit when we were out there snapping as far as adding a few things to your game, whether it be that blocking element that you might not be used to at the college level. Are there anything else that you have tried to work on specifically?
Blocking is the main one, just because, I mean, we did it in high school, but you're like, that doesn't count basically. Yeah. That's like a kindergartner like jumping to college or something. Like, or it's just not the same thing. So that's been kind of my main focus, is just getting blocking, getting comfortable with it, kind of getting some steps down. And then for me, one thing that I've been trying to pay attention to is laces. That's something that is always, I think, really important and kind of sets a good long snapper apart from a great long snapper. Becoming more consistent with that and just getting those down has been definitely a point of emphasis going into pro day here. Like I said, with the setting and blocking is something that I've never done, so just an opportunity to hopefully show people that whether that I didn't do that during the season, but it's something that I've been practicing and picking up. So just to kind of show that hopefully I am ready to be in a camp somewhere. Yeah.
So having other seniors out there with you, other especially specialists, not just other people, does that help drive you? Do you kind of compare yourself to the other specialists?
I think having other people out there is always great for competition and stuff.
Yeah.
When we're out there, like on a regular day, like not snapping, like but just training, we do a lot of time drills and stuff. So just that competition and to always be competing, I think, is always something good. And then having that Michael Sleep Dalton out there, our punter this year, is really awesome for two things. Like you look between your legs for a punt, and it's the guy that you've seen thousands of times before. So it's just that kind of like a calming presence a little bit. You know what to expect from him, and he knows what to expect from you. You've had an entire year to do it. And then also with short snaps, that's something really hard to just throw people together and do.
Yeah.
Like, obviously we're talking about the ball doing a quarter of a turn. So knowing where my laces typically are and how he's going to catch it just makes it that much easier to do. So it is really great to have other guys from different position groups training for competition, and then having Sleep out there is really a benefit as well. Like 5 years in this program is something that, I mean, you can't even hardly put into words unless you've gone through it, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many ups and downs, so many times that you go out to the practice field and you're gonna have a tough day, and like, you know, you're gonna run in the summer, and like different things that, I mean, really bring a lot of people together. That the time being, you obviously you're not real excited to do that, or you don't really want to, or different things like that. But I mean, you look back on it, and those are a lot of the things that really bring like different classes and different teams together, that you just come together around that hard work.
Any piece of advice you would give to a young snapper out there who maybe this is kind of the time where they're either juniors looking for colleges or seniors who might be joining in the summer? What's some advice going into that college level that you would give?
I think just that being a long snapper at this level is possible. Again, it's something that not a ton of people take really seriously, and it's something that as an individual you have almost complete control over. As being a long snapper, like, again, you're part of a team, but you individually control how well you do at this position. So a lot of it is just repetition over and over and over again. So you control whether you want to go snap or not. You control how many reps you do. You control the focus that you have while you're doing these reps. So really, I think it's something that anybody can do. It is just whether or not you're willing to put in the time and work.
I agree, absolutely. That's good advice to any young person who's trying to go in, and you know, any type of specialist that applies. You know, it's not just snappers, kickers, punters. The same mentality has to go into it. So I really appreciate you talking to me today. It was nice to get to talk to somebody, another Iowa boy who's long snapping, hoping to make the dreams come true. So hope to see you at that UNI Iowa game up here in the future. So thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Have a good one.
Thanks for having me on. Thank you.